Again, my name is John Cronan. I am the Acting Assistant Attorney General of the Criminal Division of the Department of Justice. Before serving in my current role, I supervised the Terrorism and International Narcotics Unit of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. Prior to that, I served as an Assistant United States Attorney in the Southern District of New York, where I prosecute violent criminals and I prosecuted national security defendants, including Osama bin Laden's son-in-law and the attempted Times Square bomber. On the day that Attorney General Jeff Sessions was sworn in, President Trump sent him executive orders to reduce crime in America and to target transnational organized crime. As Acting Assistant Attorney General, I support the Attorney General in accomplishing these goals by directing the enforcement of all federal criminal laws, with the exception of those that are specifically designated to other divisions of the Department of Justice. As Sarah mentioned, my duties include oversight of the nearly 700 prosecutors in the criminal division. And that includes the organized crime and gang section, the capital case section, the International Criminal Investigative Training Assistance Program, and the Office of Overseas Prosecutorial Development, Assistance, and Training. I had the opportunity just now to brief President Trump about one of the most significant threats to the public safety of our communities, MS-13. And I appreciate the opportunity to also speak with you today about that threat. MS-13, or Mara Salvatrucha, has grown to more than 30,000 members worldwide, 10,000 of whom live right here in the United States, spanning 40 states and the District of Columbia. This violent, murderous gang has infiltrated our country. It is estimated that there are 2,000 members in Los Angeles, between 800 and 1,200 members in Dallas and Houston, 2,000 members on Long Island, between 800 and 1,200 members in Boston, and approximately 3,000 members living right here in Washington, D.C., and the D.C. metropolitan area. I'm sure many of you, not all of you know, MS-13 is probably the most violent and ruthless gang terrorizing our streets today. Their motto is Mata, Viola, Controla, which means kill, rape, control. They commit rape, robbery, extortion, and murder, often just for the sake of it. They attack their victims with chains, bats, machetes, firearms. MS-13 recruits children to be murderers. They gang rape young girls and sell them for sex. I briefed the President on a few examples of MS-13's brutality. These include a 15-year-old Gaithersburg, Maryland girl named Damaris Reyes Rivas, who was stabbed 13 times with knives and a wooden stake. The girl's killers filmed her murder so they could show gang leaders back in El Salvador what they had done. Damaris's body was savagely dumped next to railroad tracks under the same road, the Beltway, that many of us take to work every day. I briefed the President about the MS-13 members who murdered a fellow gang member they believed to be a snitch and who murdered a recruit for violating gang rules. One of those individuals had his head severed. MS-13 buried those two victims in shallow graves in a park in Falls Church, Virginia, a park just about 10 miles from here. I briefed the President about a Long Island victim who was lured into the woods of central Islip, New York by MS-13 members, where he was beaten with sticks and a fire extinguisher. The gang members ultimately cut his throat with a pocket knife and sadistically stuffed his body into a drainage pipe where it went undiscovered for months. The Department of Justice, under the leadership of Attorney General Sessions, is devoting resources to accomplishing the President's directive of reducing violent crime and ensuring that our citizens are no longer held hostage by murderous savages like MS-13 members. Attorney General Sessions has designated MS-13 a priority for the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force. The Department of Justice will be surging hundreds of federal prosecutors, new federal prosecutors, to the field specifically to focus on violent crime and immigration offenses. The department has enhanced our relationships with the Northern Triangle countries, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras, to target MS-13. This past summer, Attorney General Sessions visited El Salvador, where he met with the El Salvadoran Attorney General, Douglas Melendez, to discuss joint efforts to dismantle MS-13 at its roots. Soon after that meeting, about 70 gang members were charged in El Salvador. And in total, our work with our Central American partners had thus far resulted in the arrests or charges against more than 4,000 suspected MS-13 members. The Justice Department, in coordination with our partners on the state and local level, will continue to prosecute scores of MS-13 gang members located in the United States. But because MS-13 is based and operates in El Salvador, and because MS-13 largely directs its murderous mission from prisons out there in El Salvador, we must do more than enforce our domestic violent crime laws against gang members in the United States. Our investigations have revealed that when we fail to enforce our immigration and human smuggling laws, when we fail to enforce immigration laws and allow for loopholes to exist to let future MS-13 gang members into the country, MS-13 can very easily simply replenish its jailed membership by sending more gang members across our borders. And for that reason, as well, the Department of Justice also remains committed to enforcing our criminal immigration laws and to identifying and targeting MS-13's smuggling networks. Be clear, we will undertake all lawful measures to end this scourge on our communities.